Hello and welcome to the FinanceFeeds podcast series. Today, a very special podcast after a quite remarkable event, and we're talking about yesterday's what can only be described as an extreme diatribe by SciSec chairman Demetra Kalogerou. And I'm joined today by Paul Orford.
Good morning, Andrew. Thanks for having me on here. I mean, the news is huge.
It certainly is.
I read it on your website. The way you actually presented it was fantastic. It's almost like you were there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I thought the comments are very good. Some of them were a bit left field, but also I noticed a comment. I think it's keep sailing.
Yes, indeed.
I'm really interested.
Very interesting, and it has been something which polarised opinion. And I have to say, I have never in my whole career seen a regulatory chairman speak so directly, so with conviction, and actually almost on the verge of aggressively towards the members of the SciSec-related firms in a way that was delivering exactly how she thinks it should improve and what they should do. There was no sound bites, there were no anodyne sound bites have been made soft by a panel, a corporate think tank. It was really from the off the cuff. You need to improve yourselves, or else.
That's it. I mean, I'm reminded of a political philosopher, Edmund Burke. As you know, Andrew, I lead quite a sheltered life.
I wish we all did sometimes.
Just to paraphrase Edmund Burke, he said, I'm sure a lot of people know this quote as well, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for a good man or good men to do nothing. So that kind of really, in my opinion, emphasised what she's trying to do. She's really trying to clean up this industry for the better. And people on the right side of history, like I'd like to believe we are, and many other of the industry, are with her.
They are, I agree, and it's been polarising in some respects, but I actually last night I had a long evening engaging with a lot of senior executives across the world, not just in Cyprus, because let's be fair, Cyprus is the pinnacle of the retail forex industry. It is the centre for the whole world, and it's grown up to become not just retail, but you have guys like yourself, prime of prime brokerages, technology providers, the two major platform firms are there, all the consultancies, and now you have regulatory reporting companies that are reporting trades to trade repositories at CME in Chicago, all based in Cyprus, run by very knowledgeable people.
I took some notes from your site as well, from the interview things. And it actually says that, or she stated that SciSec supervises 80% of the entire EU retail FX flow.
It does indeed.
I mean, that's huge.
It is huge, and that's the thing. It's become such a pinnacle of it that what you have is now it was a worldwide interaction yesterday with a lot of senior executives from across the industry in every sector, and it's been dichotomized into two sectors. Like, for example, prime of primes and executives who've been in the industry a very long time who are working for upstanding companies in various parts have actually said good for her. They actually were able to get most of those who didn't arrive because, of course, it was not allowed to be recorded or videoed. Yeah. So the majority of people in this industry who were able to be privy to what Demetra said was through FinanceFeeds article, because there was no other way. So I had a massive interaction with everybody who. Those on the right side, as you say, or on the senior executives of good quality companies are really with Demetra, saying at last she's really doing what she's supposed to be doing. Yeah. But I did have a couple of messages from middle management of small warehouse brokerages who are not on her side. And are saying this is nonsense what she's doing. They can't root out the few firms that hold large complaints and are not compliant. It's just hampering the whole industry. This is the exact type of people that Demetra wants to weed out, actually.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, if we just take a couple of points of what we'll discuss with regards to the way that perhaps these people do businesses with call centres. Now, it's quite, in my opinion, it's quite an old model of doing things, the way of having a low-cost lead provider where you just drench the whole call centre, and by the sheer will of numbers, you get clients.
I agree with you.
However, from what I understand, what she suggested is that you have good quality, well-informed staff who have exams, like you have to have in London, you have to have in the States.
Yes.
It's only going to raise the quality.
That's right, I agree.
That's the way it should go.
It also means that the person on the end of the phone is an actual industry professional. If you make a telephone, I've done this, you make a telephone call to CMC Markets or IG Group or anybody like that, I'm just singling those two out, but you could be Invas in Australia, it could be Axitrade, could give a big established company a call, and you'll get through to a young person on telephone who is the first point of contact, and if you say to them, I'd like to know how you connect your liquidity price feed through the bridge to the MetaTrader platform, they'll tell you exactly there and then without looking it up. What about the cost per million? How is the aggregated feed split, and how much do I have to pay on each trade? They'll tell you exactly and how it works. They'll tell you exactly who the prime brokerages are, what their method of execution is. They will be extremely knowledgeable people, and that is what Demetra was referring to. Was not so much that, because that is professional, but call centres that are hosted offshore, operated by people
who knows where they're based.
Who knows where they're based? The person behind the call centre is a hungry animal who is pushing the people there just to get them on the phones and do anything possible to make them deposit. I've been to some of those places, and usually they are either bottom of the range warehouse companies or binary brokers. You cannot hear yourself think for all the shouting. You know, it's just this is what she's, and I've actually met with Demetra Kalogerou personally about this, and she's told me that these aggressive call centres from abroad are distributing products that are unsuitable, then being missold, and they are doing it to people who are being forced into buying it. And then what happens is, once it's been forced through, the warehouse desk makes sure they lose their money. And this is something that SciTech hasn't been able to get a handle on, actually.
Yeah, it's quite a complex issue as well, isn't it, to try and carry out that mandate. Also, with regards to IBs as well, I mean, a brokerage can only do a certain amount with regards to their own internal literature to give out, where they do have like the back office of banners, etc., and things like this.
Yes.
But I do agree to a large extent with where these people have gone way past their remit and are offering investment advice. And
that's right, and it's usually incorrect. It's usually
trading gurus. I mean, we've talked about this on a TV show a few times, but who are these people?
Well, what they are is people on commission. Usually they're on a commission. The ones that we've talked about on TV shows, these educational people, are people who are usually on a revenue share split with the warehouse brokerage that they are an IB for. This is another thing that Demetra brought up yesterday, that she said quite categorically, it was astonishing. She said, I don't like IBs, they don't do their jobs properly, they missell and they misrepresent, and you can't control what they're doing. How do you know what they're selling? She's right, because she's not talking about good quality IBs with NFA or FCA licenses who are actual industry professionals, or Chinese money managers who have got $300 or $400 million under under management and a well-organised organisation. She's talking about a one-man band who strikes up a commission split deal with a bucket shop, excuse my language, but you know what I mean, and then gets 3 or 4 people in a room, takes their money for some dubious software, forces them to understand that he's a trading guru, and then they split the losses between the broker and himself. This is the biggest problem of all, and that unfortunately still exists in quite a few numbers.
Yeah, that's true. It's very, very true. Also, I was reminded of this other quote by Burke, actually, and he went on to state that when bad men combine, the good must associate, else they will fall one by one, an unpitied sacrifice in a contemptible struggle.
Indeed.
Now, so Lee, would this cover the 10 brokerages that are causing 50% of all
Yes, because you could say that Burke, in Burke's analogy there, this could be actually the struggle against the contemptible.
Yeah.
And you have some there, and actually Demetra was saying that there are 24 high priority companies on their list.
Yes.
But the thing is, something's going to have to change, because a few of those companies are being protected by a higher authority above her remit. So even though she regulates, SciTech regulates them, if they've got their hand in some corrupt pot and somebody who's representing them has the right connections, SciTech has no restitution powers or criminal prosecution powers, and just a question of a quick phone call, say, hey, leave them alone.
Yeah.
Hence, you have companies there running roughshod over it and getting away with it. But that has to change, and you can see now this is the first time that SciTech has really reared its head in that fashion against this kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. If I want to, look, we do need to clean the industry up, whether that's a combination of regulation and self-regulation. and oversight from everybody in the industry.
Yes.
I'm not sure how that's going to work, but it does need to be done.
I agree. I think at that level,
self-regulation isn't going to work.
No, it won't, because you have people. You have some people with a completely. This is another problem. Cyprus has been regarded as a place to go to get good regulatory oversight for MiFID and ESMA compliant for foreign companies that have. Maybe not the right, they have nefarious aims. They're not looking...
Their moral compass may be slightly...
Right, exactly. They're not looking long term. They're thinking, go there, get the regulation. Everything else in their operation is based in a different country. And they just go there, get the regulation, have a small office in Cyprus, and then they are behaving however they like, because they don't care about the consequences. And that is something which has had to be... SciTech has found that difficult, because you have a small operations in Cyprus. The rest of it is outside their remit. So what she's saying, and this is excellent, is that in future, the whole operations, including where it is based, really based, is going to be under SciTech's remit. So anybody who is a shareholder of a company that is based mostly somewhere else, but has a SciTech rated office, will be banned as a shareholder, as unfit. Brilliant. That is excellent. That is very, very good. So you have companies who have a small Cyprus operation with a few customers, just to give them the kudos of having ESMA and MiFID regulations. Then the rest of their order flow is all going through an offshore jurisdiction in the Bahamas or something. That will be put a stop to. And I've been hoping for that for a long time.
Yeah. I've been an advocate of this, haven't we, for quite a while, so it looks like it's going the right. Look, it's another quote, sorry to sound like the history out, but it's like Winston Churchill, this isn't the beginning of the end, it's the end of the beginning.
Yes, it is. In the beginning, that's right, because you have to look at it like that, because SciTech is a bit different to any other regulator in the world. The FCA and the National Futures Association, and to some extent ASIC in Australia, they are relatively long established. A lot of them are government officials. The NFA and CFTC, most of the actual commissioners are senators, US senators.
Yeah.
So, and they've been around for years and years and years. They're institutional from the times of the old Chicago exchanges. And the small thing to them is electronic retail trading is small fry to them. They are regulating massive institutions and hedge funds and all sorts of things. And they've been doing it for years and years, whereas SciTech is relatively new. And pretty much everything they oversee is retail FX and binary options. So it is the end of the beginning, so to speak. And that is really now, to be able to create a stable future environment and go ahead forward and make Cyprus into, and I've been saying this for a long time, I've published a few opinions to this effect, that Cyprus will only be able to sustain itself now if it goes into the multi-product hedge funds and ECPs and things like that, and makes use of these big institutional companies that are now coming to Cyprus with this, and gets away from this quick spot forex on white label MT4 for $5,000, and then taking a retail feed and just warehousing all the money and then running away after 5 minutes. That has to stop, and it has to now evolve into a holistic approach where you have an institutional sector there serving a good retail sector that has ECPs, hedge funds, family offices, various different multi-product platforms and so forth. It can be for retail customers, but more of an elevated type of service, and that's the only way it will survive, I think.
Yeah. I think it's going to go that way, though, because you might see a growth in not just retail FX, but I think the whole ecosystem.
I agree.
That's bridges, platforms.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. Yes, exactly. You have MetaQuote and Spotware systems, both based in Cyprus. They're the biggest retail off-the-shelf platform providers in the world. Actually, Spotware will make you your own bespoke platform if you want.
Yeah.
Then you have two of the major bridge providers. One of them is actually completely based in Cyprus, PrimeXM, and then you have 1Zero, which is an American company, but has now an office in Cyprus serving brokerages there. You have you have now Prime brokers. You have A&B Prime, obviously your company, and you have Saxo Markets is there. So you could, and then you have
Saxo just closed.
They did indeed. They've been there for a long time. However, you could potentially take every single service possible to run a multi-product electronic trading company and have the whole lot done in Cyprus.
Yeah.
So that's great, but without Demetra clamping down on these people doing inappropriate sales or selling products that are not suitable, or doing binary options frauds and warehouse brokerages, that kind of thing, and not adhering to and also being told to make amendments and not doing it without